All right guys, so today we're back working on the 66 Newport. It's a pretty simple day. Should be pretty satisfying. So we're gonna be getting the AC working. I'm gonna get this girl all polished out, paint corrected. I did go ahead and throw the tires on. That's taken care of, rides great. Now I did go ahead and source myself some delicious, beautiful, liquid gold R12. Maybe not delicious, but I found 3 cans of Facebook Marketplace, 150 bucks. Stupid expensive, but still a deal because if you get this stuff like from a website online, it's way more than that. And then I managed to get a can from a subscriber. Thanks again, Mike. He offered that to me. So now I have exactly a little over the capacity of the system, which is currently empty. So we can get this charged up and blowing ice cold again like it's 1966. Because nothing is gonna work as well as R12. Sure, you could convert it over to 134. I don't care. This is going to work the best in this system. Now, first of all, we are gonna go ahead and throw a new receiver dryer in here, because that is the original, and this thing hasn't had anything in it for the past almost 15 years or so. And then I got some new service port valves because I want to get those swapped out. I don't want to put all this expensive R12 in here and then potentially have it all leak out. Exception of this little thing that's added on here. It looks the same in, I guess. Yeah, so we're coming out compressor, we're going to come in from the condenser. Quite get in here. My tool's too big. I found the right tool. Oh, it fits perfectly. What do you know? What are the chances? There it is. This one doesn't want to go in. All right, there. It just went. The plastic for the seal was actually still, it didn't come out on the valve core. That's got to be it. Something's stopping it from going in all the way. Got another chunk out. It seemed like it all came out. Oh yeah, that's good. That should be fine. Didn't fight me on that one. All right, that's it. Now clearly we're gonna vacuum this down. I wanna make sure there are no leaks in this, because $150 for 3 cans of refrigerant, that doesn't even fill up the whole system, is ridiculous. If I didn't get lucky and if Mike didn't contact me, give me that extra can, I would have spent another $50, $60 on an extra can. Now, worst case scenario, I put all this in and the AC doesn't work. Or worst case scenario would be I put it all in and there turned out to be a leak and it all vented out and I lost all that refrigerant. Not too worried about that because we are going to vacuum it and make sure there aren't any leaks. However, if I did fill this up and the AC didn't work, the compressor didn't work for some reason, even though the clutch does engage, it didn't cool, I want to be able to get that expensive ass refrigerant out to capture it and be able to put it back in after fixing the issue. So this is what I picked up for a measly $100. A straight up R12 recovery machine. I found this guy on Facebook Marketplace for a measly $100. Sure, it's an obsolete piece of equipment. Some may say a piece of crap, but it cost $100 and it does work. And this is gonna allow me to take the R12 out of the system if something was to go wrong, or if, you know, the AC, the compressor didn't work, or whatever reason, I'll be able to recover it. And this machine doesn't charge, but you can recover and you can recycle, so clean it. And I already been through it, the desiccant filter, like everything, and it looks good, it's clean, nothing leaks. Unfortunately, we do not have any refrigerant in there. That would have been great. It would have came with some, but it didn't. And everything works the way it's supposed to. So worst case, we'll just reconnect, we'll use this, suck it out. And then I think if you switch the lines. So if we hook the recovery line up to the tank with the refrigerant and then put the refrigerant line onto the car and hit recycle, it should suck from the tank and just put it back in the car. I don't see why that wouldn't work. Otherwise, we might be able to just flip the can over and just take it right out of the can. But regardless, we have a way to recover our expensive ass refrigerant, and that's all I really wanted. So we got some old R12 gauges hooked up. I don't have a yellow R12 hose, so this red one will work just fine. We're all hooked up otherwise. Little tip, if you don't know which size, low side, especially with R12, both fittings are the same size. The low side is always gonna be on the cold side of the system, or you know, the hose going to the evaporator. So you can see we've got this larger line that goes back, loops around, and goes to the evaporator. The hot side, or the high side, is going to be the smaller line. That's going to go straight to the condenser, because the hot gas is going to get cooled off at the condenser. So just a easy way to know what goes where. But we're all hooked up. All right, both are open. We got some vacuum action going on. I'll check back in with you guys in probably like a half hour or so. All right, so this has been going for about a half hour. I'm gonna go ahead and close the valves, just let it sit. Let's see if we lose any pressure or lose any vacuum. All right, so it's been a few minutes, and this thing is showing absolutely no sign of budging, so I'm gonna call that good. Now, the weird thing about this car, maybe it's just an old car thing, I don't know. The compressor, the clutch, when you turn the AC on, the clutch turns on regardless. Like, even though the system had nothing in it, it was still coming on. So I don't want to damage the compressor. I don't know if that was bypassed by somebody or what was done. So let's go ahead, while we have some vacuum on there, I'm going to hook up the can that Mike gave me with the oil, and we'll kind of get some of that in there before starting the compressor, and then we'll add the rest once running. Now this line has, on one end it has a little Schrader valve, so it could kind of, actually these have O-rings in them, so we could push in the Schrader valve on the can tap. I'm actually going to use one of these can taps instead of the one that came with that, because I never used one of those. I really don't want that leaking out. It has this like thing that goes up on here and then you pierce it, but this is kind of floppy, so we use this, goes around the can. That is on there. These are closed, red stain closed. We're going to open that to charge. Sketch, sketch, sketch. I don't know where to pierce it. I guess right towards the top. Here we go. Ooh, that doesn't seal very well, huh? I'm going to let as much of that go in as possible, and then we'll start it up, being that it has some oil in it. And we'll just start adding the rest of these guys. And once this is running, we're gonna have to look at the sight glass here, my uncle was telling me, and that's technically how you're supposed to charge these. You're supposed to look at the sight glass and the bubbles go away. It's fine. So it's taking it in. You want to shake this, but you don't want to flip it, because you don't want to put liquid refrigerant into the compressor, because you can't compress a liquid, in case you didn't know. As one can, so now we're going to close this. Remember, you want to keep the high side closed all the time. You don't want to charge to the high side, so blow the can up. Again, cheers. Action on our gauge, actually. We're almost down. We're almost in the green zone already. We're at like, it's gotta be like 50 degrees or so. It's coming out cool. That's number 2 empty. Closing our valve. As I do this, I haven't really been showing it, but as I'm doing this, I'm popping this line off. That's just to purge the air out before we open up and let the refrigerant in. There we go, can number 3 going in. All right, so that's the 3rd can. We're pretty much clear. I am seeing a few bubbles here and there. So I think I'm gonna add whatever I can of that last can. Let it in. This final can should actually be perfect. Tiny bit of air bubbles, almost gone though. So our final can is just about empty. We feel good in the car. It's ice cold. Our temperature, it's only reading, this thermometer is my bad one. It only goes down to about like 50 or so. But this feels right. So I gotta see, I think my other one's in the Escalade. I'll try to find it before we go on a test drive. But it took. Compressor's working, AC's cold. Let's get that can off and see if those Schrader valves are gonna seal or not. Really hope these guys sealed. Yes. Perfect. About the back. Oh, that's just the hose. We're sealed. Got some fresh caps here. With the kit I got from Rock Auto. And the Newport has cold 60s AC once again. Holy crap. So yeah, I got my good thermometer. You can see the small one here. It stops. It doesn't even get down to 40. It just kind of stops there. Here's the good one. We're just chilling at 29 degrees. Freezing my ass off in here. And I got the blower on high. If we lower the blower down a little bit, and once we're actually moving and not just sitting here idling, we're probably gonna get even lower, which is ridiculous. This is exactly how I remember this air conditioning working in this. When I pulled it out of the garage like 14 years ago. Exactly why I wanted R12 back in it. Ice cold, you can't friggin' beat it. My God. All right, let's go get this thing back to the house. We'll get it cleaned up. Get all this dust and crap off of it, and we'll start doing the paint correction. It's so cold in here. Dare I say too cold. We're chilling at, we're down to like, what, 26 now? I had to lower the blower down to medium. I might have to actually go down to low because, wow, this works incredible. You weren't gonna get these vent temps by putting R134A in here. I'll tell you that right now. I think even with my Escalade, with like a completely stock R134A system, I got that down to I think like 39 degrees. But you know, it's still good, but it would cool worse than that, putting it in an R12 system. We'd be lucky to get into the 40s if you put R134A in here. This is incredible. I'm just gonna turn it off for now because I'm actually freaking cold. Look at that. Absolutely ridiculous. It's friggin' freezing. I did notice I have a, there's a noise coming from the front left that's been there like the whole time. And it seems to be getting louder. I think, it sounds like it's like a shock. Because it's kind of like a pop when you go over a bump on the left side. And I was looking, I can't really see much of a shock bushing. So, I'm probably at some point just gonna throw front shocks in it. I don't need to make a video on it, but it'll probably benefit from that. And everything else, I mean, this car's great just the way it is. I am planning on doing the carb possibly over the winter because it's a little crusty. It looks like the accelerator pump might be leaking a little bit. And I tried to get on this thing from a dig, just foot to the floor, and it was just coughing and it didn't want to go unless I like raised up to maybe 3/4 throttle. So I think it could benefit from a carb kit. And the cooling system, I'm actually not gonna touch because there's so much sludge, like there's so much, I don't know if it's rust or sludge or there's just mud in like the radiator and the overflow. Right now everything's cooling fine. I don't want to flush all that out and then, you know, go to drive this thing over the next like month or so before winter hits, and then potentially have a leak because I freed something up that was maybe, you know, plugging up a leak by flushing it. So I figured I'll do that over the winter as well, just so I don't like ruin the car for the rest of the year, have it down for repairs. Because something I also noticed, somebody commented too, for the exhaust manifolds, these cars aren't supposed to have gaskets on them. So for the manifolds, they have like those graphite exhaust manifold gaskets on there. I'm just gonna pull them off, see if I get them to seal without, which I'm very skeptical about. And then if not, maybe just get some MLS gaskets to put on there. But something I did notice when I was under this thing, it looks like there's a very small leak from a freeze plug in the driver's side head, because it's kind of got that like that sticky buildup around it, and you can see it's a little bit barely like wet going down the block. It's not dripping, but it's just kind of wet underneath that freeze plug behind the manifold. So I guess when the heads were off, they didn't bother replacing those. But when the manifold's off, you know, over the winter, I'll probably just pop a freeze plug in it. Because if I don't know, if I flush it now, that freeze plug is probably just gonna piss even more, and then I'm gonna ruin the car for the rest of the year. And I don't, you know, I got other stuff kind of down the pipeline. I don't want to have to do a bunch more repairs on this thing if I don't have to. Also, the brakes, I took another look at them. I had my uncle help me out. We bled them, no air in them whatsoever. However, I think I had the adjustment. The adjustment was a little loose in the back because we tightened them down to have substantially more drag. I didn't realize how much you actually had to have on them compared to like drum brakes I've done in the past. It's like on the rears of little cars. But after doing that, they lock up now without an issue. And I actually just went down that hill. I didn't even think to like go light on the brakes. I was braking just like a regular normal car, and they didn't fade out. So I think what was happening was the backs were so out of adjustment, the fronts were just getting overheated. Let's see if I can find a place to test them out. Yeah, it stops. All right, so it is the next day. I got the car cleaned up. I didn't have time yesterday to to film and get it washed. Plus, you guys seen me, you know, clean a car before. But it's all buffed out as far as the hood goes. I wanted to hit this as kind of a test point. This is base coat clear, so I got no like color transfer on the pad, which is good. So the hood, the bottom of the trim down all the way along the car, and the trunk is all like resprayed, and then here all the way back to here is original. This is original. The roof is original. Same on the other side. So I'm gonna hit all the new paint with this 105 Ultra Cut. Try to get whatever impurities and, you know, crap out of the paint, heavy swirls. And then for the original paint, I might try like a 205, something a little finer. It depends how much, you know, love it needs to make it shiny again. But you can see over here kind of what we're dealing with. We still have some minor, just kind of like spider web swirling in the hood, which I'm fine with. But you can see on the fender, those big heavy swooshes, what we're trying to get out. Same back here, the trunk's a mess. All of that has got to go, and that's going to go with the 105. I buff this out, I'm really starting to see whoever painted this car. Ugh. I don't know if you can see this, but it's really hard to tell on camera. There's like the parts of the hood that were kind of cracked. You could kind of see it's still there. Like they definitely didn't strip this hood all the way down. I don't know if that's picking up. You can see there's also like in this area, there's a bunch of just little fisheye dots in the clear. And like right there. There you go. You can see those cracks that they just kind of sprayed over. Ugh, whoever sprayed it. It didn't really seem to care too much. There's like a stripe. Oh, there you go. It's like a stripe of clear. Then there are all the cracks. There are the fish eyes. More cracks. There's like a bubble there. More cracks. There's another bubble there. And then it looks like there was some weirdness going on where their paint wasn't happy with what was on the surface already, because it kind of all wrinkled up. Shines real good. Just if you get it in like the perfect shadows, you can kind of see all that, which is fine. Like I said, you know, I'm not getting rid of this car, so maybe it would be cool to paint it myself someday. Well, it is the next day. I'm absolutely dying. This thing is some boat to try to freaking buff out, but the paint correction portion is done. So I got it completely hit with the 105, completely hit it with the 205. So all the heavy swirls are gone. The original paint actually came out really nice. Like I said, this is original, this is original. Top of the doors actually shined up really good and matches the newer paint now. Came out really, really nice though. I might actually take it to a show this weekend. Could really see that paint now, the way they kind of sprayed over that. Ugh. Yeah, I'm sure eventually she's gonna need respray, at least on the hood. Alright guys, so here she is, all cleaned up and ready for some cruising this fall. Now I actually did go and clean up the engine bay. It wasn't really that filthy. I didn't film it because I was kind of in a rush. I took this to a show yesterday and it actually won a second place trophy, which was pretty cool. And the paint actually came out really, really freaking good. You can see all of those heavy swirls that were in it are completely gone now. The camera will just figure out what it wants to do. The original paint on the roof came out amazing. Even the tops of the doors and the tops of the fenders that were really dull before, you know, those heavy swirls are gone and they really shined up real nice. Same thing back here. You guys remember what the trunk looked like. It's absolutely covered in swirls before. And yeah, she's ready for a, you know, just a fun full cruising season. I might take it up to Connecticut for a little drive. I don't know, I gotta see. But it looks friggin' incredible. I couldn't be happier with the way the paint came out. And like I said, with the hood, how it's kind of weird, you know, at some point it's probably gonna have to be resprayed. For the most part, you really don't notice it. You have to be in like the perfect light at like the perfect angle to kind of pick up on it. Oh, I can't forget to give you guys a quick look at my beautiful, you know, very detailed engine bay cleaning. Yeah, I really just kind of rushed through this. I was doing this Saturday night. The show was on Sunday. And yeah, I didn't even bother filming because I knew it wasn't going to be like the best engine bay cleaning, but you know, looks better than it did. And I didn't have my pressure washer either. I was doing this at the garage, so I'm like, this is a mess. Let me just kind of blast through it with the hose. I used some just dish soap. I didn't want to put anything heavy on it. I didn't know if the super clean, even diluted, would strip the paint from the valve covers or anything. But you know, it came out pretty good. And for the show, I didn't get any footage, unfortunately. I was just kind of hanging out. It completely forgot to even take a picture of the car there. I was actually talking to a few viewers of the channel, which was pretty cool. Just kind of a nice day hanging out, not, you know, making a video or anything. It's always a good thing. But here's what I got. So second place, and they do it on like a point system. So depending on how clean your paint is, the interior, you accumulate a certain amount of points, and then from there you'll either get like a first place trophy or a second place trophy or nothing. But yeah, first thing I ever won one of my cars, the Camaro. The paint is extremely good on that car, and I never won anything with that thing. So, you know, just taking this out for the first time, I thought that was pretty neat that I actually got something with it. But from here on out, yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy this thing. You'll probably see maybe something on it over the winter. I want to pull the car apart, go through that, maybe take care of those exhaust gaskets, and see what else it might need over the winter. It does need strut rod bushings, so that popping noise I've been hearing, the strut rod bushings here are completely gone. Look at that. And that's that popping noise I'm hearing. So I got a pair of them from Rock Auto for a whopping $11, $18 after shipping. I friggin' love this car. It drives so nice. It's just such a fun car to take out, just cruise with. But I want to thank you guys for coming along on this little journey with my grandfather's 66 Newport here. Yeah, from here on out, I'm just gonna enjoy it, you know, cruise around with it in the fall. And next time I see you guys will probably be, yeah, next video, we're gonna be working on the Trans Am, putting the interior in. However, if you don't follow me on Instagram, once again, I'm gonna put a link down below. I post a lot of stuff on this car as I'm working on it. Even if I don't make videos on the content I'm doing, if you want to see more of it, photos, anything, updates, Instagram's the place to go. And for now, that is gonna do it for the 66 Newport. I love this car, it's incredible. Love the way it looks, love the way it drives. Couldn't ask for more. 30 grand, well spent in my opinion.